Hello, welcome to this short review of the Arcane Journal for the Dwarven Mountain Holds. Me and Val Heffelfinger will be raising our axes and drinking some beers and talking about the dwarfs.
Raise axes, drink beers. Raise axes, drink beers. It's not as good as shoot guns, drink beers, Rob. Shoot guns, drink beers was better.
Yeah, I think that was good. I agree with you. Hello, everyone. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this review. I think we're nailing it. Yeah, I think we're doing really well. I'm very excited.
Ludo narrative dissonance is not going to be anything on this. Brought to you by New Camera Angle.
I hit up Peachy and Louise with the Ludo narrative dissonance, and they shouted at me. They were like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Don't worry."
You what?
What? I'd also like to do this entire review in the voice of like some working class miner lads.
Also, only yell from the window.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm very excited because obviously off the back of our Dwarf Deep Dive, which you go check out on YouTube and the podcast.
Very strong back. Very strong back.
Off the
girthy back.
Girthy back. I also updated my microphone, so the issues I was having the other week should be all fixed, which I'm very excited about. And I'm really looking forward to this. Dwarfs, I know that my WhatsApp chat for my events, which is such a healthy chat now, Discord, have the Discord that you can join via our Patreon have been rifling through the rules for this. There's already reviews up. There's already hot takes. People are in it. Yeah, they're in it. They're excited.
And I've watched them all, and I'm here to misremember most of what they said. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm very excited. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the Dwarven Arcane Journal. If you're not sure what that is, if you want to play dwarfs,
buckle up if you don't know what that is.
Yeah, if you want to play dwarfs, you've got to go get yourself the core army book, although available online if you know where to look. And then you will be able to then also pick up an additional book which contains a bunch of narrative about how to run 2 different army styles, and it also includes a bunch of special named characters as well as some new units to play, and even some new units to play in other armies, right?
Oh my goodness, so exciting.
Yeah.
Also, just wanted to say thanks to our friends at Games Workshop, who thanks to Rob's NDA, we were able to provide this ahead of time.
He's lying. I don't have one of those. Okay, I hate them. Okay, I hate them.
So where am I going to be looking with my new sight line? I guess, okay, I worked so hard, so I'm going to return to proper stature, even though this is the dwarf review, and I thought the bit was a little funny. I'm going to move myself back to an even footing with Robert. Robert, where am I looking to follow along with you here?
Just follow along. You can just follow along on pictures you have. Otherwise, it'll be a faff to sort out.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Don't want to faff about here.
Don't want to faff. Okay, so we're going to start off with, we're going to start looking at the 2 different like armies that you're able to take for this. So there's 2. The first one we're going to look at is the Dwarven Mountain Holds Royal Clan. The Royal Clan, or as I like to call them,
very good.
That's
someone's got a new soundboard. It's not me.
It's not me. So anyway, Dwarven Mountain Holds Royal Clan. So this is an interesting kind of like build. We'll talk about this specifically. So there's going to be some army special rules in addition to building your army in a different way to the way that you would build dwarfs if you were running their grand army composition. That's correct. I'm pretty certain.
Yes.
So this is an Army of Infamy composition list, which the characters are, you must have a king or a thane. Must.
What? Also, duly noted, because I know hot on the heels of our original. How did I forget?
What?
Shit. How did I forget? It's a deep dive.
It's a deep dive. I like that it's just put a sticker on it, man. Put a sticker on the one button.
It's the Go XLR, all right? There's a button that lets you, it's the same 4 buttons, but depending on if I'm on the A, B, or C bank, it's different sounds.
Okay.
So I got to go back to the B bank, but I was in A, but anyway.
Whoa. That's a grudging. I agree. Everyone, if you're watching this review at home, and you're listen to the podcast, watch it on YouTube, I need you to start, open a book and start writing down all of the grudges. Because, multiple. Right, so...
go on. I went on a journey there. I apologize. I apologize for derailing us. But what I wanted to bring up was Double Doom. And the reason I realized, I think, one of the reasons why Double Doom doesn't happen very often is because you give up the ability to bring a king if you take 2 anvils. You can only bring, it's like the either or thing. It's the Lord tier. Anyway, so this would allow you to do 2 anvils if you wanted to Double Doom and a king. That was the whole reason I accidentally pressed the fart button.
So, 1 king or Thane must take,
right.
and then up to 1 Anvil of Doom or Rune Lord per 1,000 points. But as you said, and then multiple runesmiths. But like you said, double rune available, double rune, double king. Well, no, double rune and a king.
You could do multiple kings. They wouldn't be all geared up. But anyway, yes. Certainly a specific king that we will be talking about momentarily.
So then, for core, at least 25% of your points need to be spent on Royal Clan Warriors, Longbeards, and Quarrelers. So those are only the 3 available. So this is removing maybe the most popular choice at the moment in core, which is our Rangers. You're gonna have to build something else, but thankfully Royal Clan Warriors are cool, as are Longbeards and Quarrelers. Special.
Well, let's not spoil anything, but we'll get there. Yeah.
Special Hammers and Dwarf Carts. That's right, Dwarf Carts.
Who called it? You called it.
And Dwarf Cart. Dwarf.
That's the right button.
Do you know what Dwarf Carts are good for?
Excellent for digging holes, especially moving that dirt around. It's fantastic.
Just fantastic. Up to 3 war machines chosen on the following list per 1,000 points, with a bolt thrower and a grudge thrower. And the rare, up to 25 points your army can be Rangers, Ironbreakers, and Iron Drakes. And then excitingly, for mercenaries, you can have Imperial Dwarf mercenaries, you can have up to 4 Doomseekers, and you can have 1 Goblin-Hewer per 1,000 points. You can have a standard bearer be a Thane or a Runesmith as a standard bearer.
Which is an interesting twist, yes.
That's an interesting twist. I like the Runesmith twist because it puts the double utility onto a single point. You don't have to be like, I have to take a Thane just for the BSB. So then Runesmith, which you may already want to take, is now doubled up, which I love. I love that. That's what I'm going to say.
It's great.
It's great. Okay. So that's the compositions, and then we could talk about the special rules that you get. So the Royal Clan special rules. The first one is, I'll do the first one, you can do the other one if you fancy.
Oh, okay, I love that.
First one is Ancestral Fury, where during a turn in which a unit in a Royal Clan army makes a charge move of 3 inches or more, or made a follow-up move, it gains a +1 modifier to its strength characteristic. Now, I like this, but I am a little triggered that dwarfs aren't innately strength 4 anyway. I'm just going to say it. Like, that's kind of how I feel. I feel a little bit triggered anyway. So I feel like this is just returning to the true strength of a dwarfen arm. But what do you think about that?
Well, I think some dwarves are, in fact, strength 4. For example, Longbeards, who feature in core here. So, now they're strength 5. That's even stouter. Right?
Yeah, that is stoutier and strongier.
Haughty, even. Haughty? How do you say that? Haughty? Wow. Haughty?
Whoa! Haughty means posh.
Did we just find a word that my Canadian mouth cannot say? Haughty?
Haughty? Haughty.
Haughty.
Yeah, because you're trying to say hoa. Snooker.
Snooker.
Come on. Karen, what do you think of this? Keep going.
Character mod. Oh, what do I think of Ancestral Fury? I think they wrote it as you get +1 strength when charging, and then someone was just like palms up. What? And then like, all right, fine, follow-ups too. And then it was a good rule.
Right, nice. Okay, good.
I'm into it. I like that it's on follow-ups. So all you gotta do is win a combat, and you get a +1 strength modifier. Sounds fun to me. Riches and heirlooms. Character models in this army may spend an additional 25 points on runes. In addition, units that are able to purchase standard runes may spend an additional 25 points on standard runes, with the exception of Royal Clan warriors who already have this bonus included on their profile. These guys are fancy. They want to show off how they're living.
Yeah, they got all the bling, as they say. I think, sorry, because I have checked our audience statistics. So to the 56% of people who might not get this, this goes out to the 44% of people under 30. They are dripped out.
Oh, dripping. Very cool. And no need for antibiotics. This is actually a reference to how much merch they're wearing. Fine craftsmen the dwarfs are.
Exactly.
What do you think of this?
I think this is good because I think like some of the upgrades runes that we've seen have been good, but now it's like okay, time because you can't do the dragon. Right, like I think that's what they're basically. Maybe could have gone up to 50 points and just got real wild with it, because you can't do the dragon. You can't be like, I'm going to trick this guy out with like, and actually, 50 points maybe would have even been better if I'm being 100% honest, because like with Chaos Lord, you can have 100 points of stuff and then 50 points of Chaos upgrades, and then you can put them on a mount, so you can get real drippy with some characters in the old world, but with a good old Lord out. But this 25 points is like a little bit more, but still not tons more. And I'm like, why not just give them like just go back wild, make a dwarf legend, as they say.
Now, as you know, there are a lot of hooked up content producers out there who have already Arcane journaled this, and I can't remember what they said, but there was a breakpoint in my recollection on some of the runic combos. So that now, even with just that 25 points, some things have really opened up combination-wise, especially on your kings and your thanes. Don't know what they were, but it probably does allow you to like combine, say, the D6 wounds rune with maybe some defensive wounds runes, which you wouldn't necessarily have been able to do before. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah, but I'm saying go deeper, go bigger, go blingier.
Even more blingy than 125 points? What more do you want? Or 150 points? What are they up to? 125,
Just go as many as they like, but can only take 3. So off you go.
Oh, I see. Sort of like how they do the Runic Tattoos.
Runic Tattoos. Yeah, exactly. Right, and the next ability, Striking a Grudge. This is all for the army. After deployment, before the first turn begins, nominate a single enemy character. For one reason or another, this individual has earned themselves a place in the clan's book of grudges. I request, and in fact insist, if you are going to play this at a game or an event, you bring a book and you just make up a salacious rumor or lie about the enemy model. That will make it engaging for your opponent. And then all friendly models gain the Hatred Nominated Enemy Character special rule. In addition, you win a bonus 75 victory points, incredibly small, if the nominated character is slain and has fled the battlefield or is fleeing when the game ends.
Yeah, I grudge, yeah. There you go. I can point right at the camera now for added effect, guys. It's volumetric. Actually, if you go back 10 years in time, this is available in 3D. But, I mean, this is a nothing burger to me. It's nice. It's cool. Maybe you get your 75 points. Yeah, maybe you point at the dragon and you go fight him, but you can't really. It's harder for you to kill the dragon. But anywho,
I'd say this cool. This is nice because it has an overarching game effect. You have 2 overarching game effects, right? +1 strength on the charge, or follow up. Great. Additionally, a chance to gain some additional victory points, and then also hatred against that character, which is also excellent. So 2 real big bonuses for the army. And in addition, if you want to, you can really trick out a character. I think that's nice. I think the two big bonuses are nice. And then riches and heirlooms is also good as well. So I'm pro these things.
I would, I would say they are a bit, as you pointed out, a little restrained. I mean, why not just, if it's one model, why not just all reroll hits? Why not just reroll hits, not hatred? Whatever. All good. It's great.
Right, so the Expeditionary Force, this entire book is really...
Again?
Yeah, we are. This entire book is synergized together. There's loads of things that all inform on each other. For instance, we're going to talk about Ungrim and Doomseekers and the tattoos you can take and how different units unlock. But I just wanted to kind of before we got there and just overloaded with all the stuff we can add to stuff, let's just talk about some of the stuff that's also in the army. Then we can just kind of fire and forget it. So the first bit I'd like to talk about is Dwarf Carts. Because
this is a good one,
because the army that we're just talking about, so the Royal Clans, obviously they want to be charging because they get that +1 strength, right? So Dwarf Carts make you move faster and therefore more charging. So 65 points, you get yourself a good old Dwarf Cart, a Dwarf Crew, and a Draft Pony. A single Draft Pony or two?
Sure looks like it's just singular draft pony. A beleaguered pack animal being coaxed out of its mine into the open air. The draft pony is an overworked cart horse, and here it is. And by the way, you heard it here first. Many months ago now, when we spotted the pony cart in the Arcane Journal for Orcs and Goblins, and we said, boom, look out, pony cart OP. Rob, is it in fact OP?
Well, it's got 3 wounds, toughness 5 though, which we really like. We like that, and I think it's got 5 up armor save, which is cool. And it's treated like a light chariot, which is obviously really helpful. And then it's got some impact hits. It's not really there though to do anything. But it does have an attack or 2. That's not its job. Its job is a support role for the rest of the army. Okay? Yeah. And in that, it can either be a Bugman's cart or a Miner's cart. And the difference between these is the Bugman's cart is during the command sub-phase of their turn, any dwarf unit that is not fleeing or engaged in combat and that is within 6 inches of a friendly Bugman's cart that itself is not fleeing or engaged gains a +1 modifier to its movement characteristic to the end of the turn. This is a 33% increase to the speed of a dwarfen unit.
It's a significant lift.
Yeah. It's big. And obviously this is really nice because then it changes the movement characteristics, so that means it's going to help units in that are going marching column. They're going to go even faster, which is super nice. This will also interact super nicely with some runes for going faster as well, and also will. Isn't there a rune? No, there's no
go faster rune. This is the first thing that they've gotten aside from. You're thinking of the.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
The anvil.
The anvil. Yeah. I'm thinking of the anvil for the extra move. That's what I'm thinking of. So that's going to interact with that, right, and go even faster. So there's additional bonuses that come with this, which I think is good. And importantly, it's not a singular unit; it's helping many units. So that's really nice.
It's an area of effect. This is comical to me because we're talking about a +1 modifier, but you're right, 33% buff to their movement. Another really cool thing, speaking of the anvil doing the double move, is that this is during the command sub-phase of their turn. Any dwarf unit that is not fleeing or engaged in combat that is within 6 inches of a friendly Bugman's cart. I thought it would just say it immediately. Basically, the point of it is you don't have to stay within 6 inches of the Bugman's cart. You get it till the end of your turn, so you can be in marching column. You can have drilled. You can move your whopping lightning fast 12 inches. You can then use your rune. So you can then use your Anvil of Doom to move to reform now down to combat formation. So that way you're ready to fight, and then move another whopping 8 inches. That's 20 inches of dwarf movement.
Yeah. Yeah, solid. It's absolutely solid. Because like Val says, with all of the additional ways that you move or, can double move, what you're effectively doing is just adding on multiples, right? So just really nice in my opinion. Nice.
Gyros are already fast, but
there is a rune.
Works on your gyros.
Shout out to you can have the Vanguard rune.
No, just some units Vanguard a comical 3 inches.
I think you could also get a rune that also vanguards you.
The rune of vanguarding?
Yeah.
4
inches now. 4 inches. It's something.
No, because it would be the Vanguard will still be 3 inches.
Oh, because it's before the command sub phase. R.I.P.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. All right. Anyway, so that's Bugman's Cart. You're going to probably see a lot of Bugman's Carts out there, which obviously
I think it'll be I
just want to say one thing as a person who likes the aesthetic of the old world. I can't wait to see some drunken dwarfs. Yeah, some barrels, throwing them out, right? Okay. And then you got the Miner's Cart, the other version, where any dwarf units with 3 friendly Miner's Cart that's not fleeing or engaged combat makes a standard shoot reaction and or shooting attack as if it were equipped blasting charges. Additionally, when a Miner's Cart loses a wound to an enemy attack during the combat phase, roll d6 on a 4 plus the Miner's Carts explode, and every unit friend or foe within 3 inches suffers d6 for 3 hits with an AP of 1 with flaming attack special rule. How do you feel about this?
I just firstly want to pull back to your sex comment. I thought the aesthetics you were going to appreciate was just a raging battle and just a dwarf just clippity-cloppeting on his regular-ass beer cart. Not the aesthetics of a cart filled with dynamite, which is, I think, what you were going for. So
no, both.
There.
Both. No, both.
Are you okay with both?
Yeah, both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, both. I've got a picture of the fantastic Kevin Costner version of Robin Hood, where Friar Tuck is carrying all the beer. Right, so that's already great. But in addition to that, like there'll just be some great kit bashes. There'll just be there's so many 3D prints of like dwarven barrels and dwarfs throwing beer and stuff. There's the famous Bugman model, which is still available at Warhammer World, actually, of drunk.
Oh, really?
Of drunk Bugman. Yeah, you and me looked at it when you were over.
Oh, right. I thought you were talking about the one that they put up for sale, which has been sold out massively. The Bugman cart. On a 50 by 75 as well, I noticed. I assumed this would be on a cherry paste, but it's on a 50 by 75. Getting to this blasting charge version, I don't know if you're going to see it much, mate. What do you think?
No, I don't think you'll see it much either, mate. Mate.
It's Bud. Yeah. Although it blows up, that's kind of fun.
I mean, I say this a lot, but I'm not overly keen on rules where I plan on my stuff dying. I'm not like, if I lose a bit,
you better buckle up because there's some very important rules where you got to plan on your stuff dying.
But what I mean by that is like, if I go into this being like, listen, if I do lose and my thing does die, you might take some damage, which isn't game changing. So I'm not keen. But the rule below it is important. Baggage. An army made using Dwarven Mountain holds grand army composition. So may include 0 to 4 dwarf carts as rare choices. So this is not just hard locked into the army that we're talking about. So the royal clans. So now this is an additional upgrade to your army composition. So that's nice that there's also this additional like thing that you can be brought in, which is fun. 0 to 4 dwarf carts as rare choices.
Just looking at this Miner's Cart, because I haven't really actually given it a real thought. To remind people of one thing, what a blasting charge is. Range 6 inches, strength 3, -1 AP, armor bane 1, flaming attacks, quick shot. So, if you're planning on getting charged a lot, which you should be if you're a dwarf, I mean, this does suddenly give you some potential bonus combat res by, punking a few things on the way in. With your
especially units that can't normally do it, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's not necessarily useless, but for 65 points, this might be more of a thing where you are trying to, maneuver it around. Because that has one other thing about the Miner's Cart is that it is at the end of the day it's got a 6-inch move, staggering speed, mind-boggling speed. It is a chariot. So it does get some impact hits. So this is something that, if it's done its job of getting you into position and such, by the way, probably 7-inch move because it's within 6 inches of itself, right? Yeah. Any dwarf. So it's always going to be moving a little bit faster than it even appears. So this does allow you to maybe get a little bit of a flank, maybe get a rear charge, maybe go trot off. Come on, girl. Maybe he's gonna toddle off and do something in the backfield. Engage a spellcaster that's back there. It gives you some options if you think outside of the old box with it. Definitely, that could be fun.
Yeah, and it's it's not too survivable that your opponent isn't going to be able to potentially take it out. So like it's something you have to be conscious of. Like, you know, it's fun. I like the impact hits D3 for the turn when you just going in. You're like the pony's going in too. You just screaming it in, baby. You know, we don't hate that. Okay, so that's Dwarf Carts, and then we're going to talk about the Royal Clan Warriors, because I think it's fair to say Dwarf Warriors have felt a little bit like underwhelming, really, in the general Dwarf Journal. So I think, you know, a slightly different version here is really interesting. So Royal Clan Warriors, toughness 4, like always, and they're equipped with heavy armor, shields, and hand weapons. Weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 3. You can equip them with a bunch of different ways. So importantly, you could take Gromril Great Axes, which is the first bit we'll talk about.
Indeed.
Because these are great. They are strength +2, taking them up to a strength 5. Strength 6 on the charge at over 3 inches in this army. AP 3. And then requires 2 hands and strike last. So these are, you know, like a hammer version, like a different type of hammer, but with even stronger AP, which is amazing. Because I think the other hammers are AP 2. They're AP 2, armor bane 2. They're basically great weapons.
On the hammers themselves.
Yeah, they're hammers.
But they don't strike last.
Yes,
they don't strike last. That's a big deal with them.
Yeah, and they've got a cute little note at the bottom, which Royal Clan Warriors are best represented arming hammer models with a mix of hand weapons and shields, or 2 hand axes, which is fun. They've got Shield Wall if you take the more defensive version. They've got Resolute. They've got Gromril Weapons, which is great for AP1 if you go for the hand weapon versions, and Gromril Armor, which is reroll 1s on the save if you are going for like that more defensive version. They've got Hatred Orcs and Goblins and Magic Res 1 like all of the guys. And then they can have Drilled, they can have Stubborn, and they can have Veteran, and these can all come out of your core, so you can actually make a solid core unit now. Because I think Warriors were a bit lacking, maybe. I don't know. What do you think of this unit?
So I think I've heard it accurately described potentially as its best, perhaps its best setup might be as a dollar store iron breaker. So obviously they have Gromril weapons. They got Gromril armor, but they only have heavy armor, so not full plate. So they're sitting on a 4-up save. Yeah, 4-up save with a shield, essentially, re-rolling 1s. To me, what that gives you is access to a tanky unit in your core, because oddly, Iron Breakers don't get love in either of these things. We'll see Hammers hold a bit of a special place, I think, when you combine them with Ungrim. Iron Breakers not as prevalent. So this to me is a really good thing to set up as a really good tanky point sink, because you gotta bring some for your core. That's where I would like it. Also notable in Royal Clan, which I don't think touched on, is there's not really any black powder available to you. So Thunderers are not available. Quarrelers are, so that's probably, Quarrelers, Longbeards, and these fellas are basically your core options. And I think Royal Clan Warriors really do make a case for being the best option, depending on the type of thing you're going to be building out with your Royal Clan.
Yeah, you can have Iron Drakes, and obviously MSU Iron Drakes have been super popular, bolt throwers and gun throwers. But like you say, no black weapons, black powder weapons, sorry, which is good. I think they're a good, solid core choice. And then, they can have a Magic Standard Rune up to 75 points. Just feels like honestly, just what Warriors should just be anyway. But who am I to say? And a great opportunity to do some kit bashing, having the axes, very cool in my opinion.
That's 75 points, bit of a bummer, a little bit of a because I believe that means you can't take the Master Rune of Gromgi, which is the 5-up ward that you would maybe love to see. Like if you were going to use this instead of like a unit of hammers, for example, to hide some characters in, or to be your main tank unit, you would love to have that 5++ on them. So I don't know. I think there's definitely a lot to be said about the Royal Clan Warriors, and I think we said it. I like them.
Yeah, good, excellent. So the next unit we're going to look at is Thorgrim Ulleksson, the KHARL of DAMMAZ KRON. I want to make sure I put the whole respect on his name, right? That's important. Yeah,
because as we know later, this guy not too understanding.
Yeah,
bit bit of an iconoclast, you know?
So he's got an okay weapon skill 6. He's a combat character, obviously. He's not going to do any shooting. Leadership 10, which is already a nice start, you know, for your general. Isn't great in combat, though. 3 attacks. Strength 4, sure. But, like, you know, not super good.
He's a Thane. He's a Thane, right? So.
Yeah, he's a Thane. Yeah. But,
so you know, he's a wee lad.
He's still 250 points, though, so it feels like he's not a Thane.
True.
So equipment, hand weapon. He's got a Grudge Settler, the Grudge Stone, the Armor of Skaldor, and Shield. So we should talk about those because the equipment is really the important part of this character before we get to the other parts. So we'll start with the Armor of Skaldor to just give us some idea of his survivability. It's heavy armor, a suit of heavy armor. In addition, the armor has a 4-up ward save against killing blow or against any wounds suffered that were caused by an attack that has multiple wounds X. Which is a bit disappointing. It's not just, you know, some sort of good ward save. But, you know, on top of his 3 wounds and toughness 5, I guess this means he's more survivable. Do you feel happy with that?
T5, so he's only got a ward in very specific situations. Also does not include cleaving blow. So undead still messes them up real good. Yeah, I don't like the condition on that. A 4+ ward would be sick. But it's not really. It's really, he's got a, does he have a shield? Does he carry a shield? He
does shield. He shields it up,
all
baby.
Right. And he's got full plate or
heavy armor. Heavy, so he's got a 4-up armor save. And then,
so we're looking at the 4-up armor save. Okay, cool.
Okay. Then he's got the Grudge Settler, which is his own weapon, which is strength +2, AP 1, armor bane 1 with magical attacks. He's also got the rune of smiting and the rune of parrying on there as well. Which is
rune of parrying, I believe, is -1 to be hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that helps. And he's got a, I assume, pretty jacked up weapon skill as well. Okay, so he's got some defensiveness again.
Weapon skill 6,
an actual ward.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. He's not Youngrim. But then he's got 2 other abilities, which is probably the reason that this is the reasons you would take him, right? Because he's not like currently screaming, "We love this guy." First up, the Grudge Law. Once Thorgrim has set the Grudge Stone, both he and the army unit he has joined replaces Hatred Orcs and Goblins special rule with Hatred All Enemies special rule. So
great.
We love that. Okay, so what does the Grudge Stone do? During the start of turn sub-phase, Thorgrim may set the Grudge Stone. Once set, Thorgrim and any unit it is joined gains the Unbreakable special rule and automatically passes any pact tests they're required to make. However, once the Grudge Stone has been set, Thorgrim and his unit cannot choose to flee as a charge reaction and cannot move other than to give ground and to make follow-up move and reform. So cannot move. He's just that once they set the stone, they are standing there for the duration of the battle. An unbreakable shield wall, you could say.
Forgive me for saying this, but if the very easy to outmaneuver and slow dwarfs suddenly just okay, moving forward with their obviously Thorgrim is isn't moving out of his hold without his draft pony, but nonetheless. You plant yourself down, and now you got this ultra expensive, wants to fight you, combat unit or whatever it might be, standing there, unbreakable and hates you. Why would you just walk around it now?
Well, okay, so I agree with walk around it. Unless there's a lot of points in that unit you want to go fight, right? Like, that's an important element to add. But I think maybe when we get to some of the stuff that we'll look at later, maybe in the future, I'm not saying now, maybe this is a bit of future proofing, maybe in the future, standing near some objectives or, you know, a bit of the board, a table quarter, the center of the board. If you're playing a thematic game, let's say you were like, where it's all about capture the hill in the middle of the board and whichever unit is stood atop the hill. Well, this motherfucker runs up with a unit, sets the stone, and also, you know, if you are playing hammer and anvil, right? And if you are playing hammer and anvil, this is the perfect anvil. This unit is, you know, going to just stand there for a long time and then just kick ass. I'm not saying he's great. I'm saying that there might be some fringe edge cases where the utility that this provides could actually be really beneficial to the army. Because, you know, hatred all enemies is legit. That's a legit upgrade.
I also I do enjoy as well that it's during the start of any turn, during any start of turn subphase. So you can do this in your opponent's turn. That gives it a little bit of flexibility if you think you're about to eat it, and you figure, well, it's now or never. It allows you to fire it down. Okay, all right. I'm just picking on Thorgrim. I'm seeing a lot of hyperbole out there about all three of the characters in the Arcane Journal, and I'm more of a 2 of the characters guy. Especially at 250 points. I don't know. In the comments, tell me why. I mean, clearly I'm page 1, book 1 in Thorgrim's grudge book. Although I have argued for getting rid of all dark elf Thorgrim, so just maybe that balances things out. But can we just look at his axe one more time?
Sure,
Let
buddy.
me just see if I would love to
Strength +2, -1, arm bane 1 magical attacks with runa parrying and the master runa smiting.
Smiting. All right. Okay. All right. Well, I gotta go look at the smiting rune, but yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. How about not bad?
I think what he does is for 250 points, you ask yourself, do you want, an unbreakable unit that is going to have hatred all enemies? Is that going to be something you need at some point in your dwarf roster? Like, how are you building it? Like, I like this. I don't think this is, and isn't smiting D6? Yeah, D6 damage.
Oh, is that the D6? Is that the D6 wounds one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thorgrim.
Yeah,
he just has that. Maybe that's why. Maybe when you add them all up, maybe that's what gives him a little bit of Master Rune of Smiting. Weapon inscribed the Master Rune of Smiting gains the multiple wounds D6 special rule. 75 points. It's a banger. So yeah, he's got over 100 points of weapon runes then, plus the magic armor. Okay,
and hatred.
Okay.
And hatred.
And he's a hateful mother sucker. Okay, fine.
Okay, so Thorgrim, you're getting painted up. You're a badass. That's great. I just like the idea of just taking... Well, I mean, there's 3D prints, but whatever. Okay, next up, Ungrim. So I rate Thorgrim. I think it's fun because he's just like... Imagine someone like just puts a massive unit in front of you and then goes, the stone. And you're like, fuck. I need to get rid of that now. That is hard. All right, Ungrim Ironfist, Slayer of Karak Kadrin, affectionately known on this show as Youngrim.
Youngrim, even more affectionately known as Yumgrim.
All right, okay. So it's fair to say that this guy is not only a force multiplier for like a whole army, but in addition is himself a badass. So 315 points, leadership 10 as well. Love that. He's got 4 attacks at 4 attacks at strength 4, but we'll come back to that. For survivability though, 3 wounds at toughness 6. Let's just talk about his survivability because he has got the Slayer Crown, and the Slayer Crown adds +2 to his armor value on his light armor, so it's a 4-up armor save. And then he also has a 5-up ward save against any wounds suffered. So 4-up, 5-up. 4-up, 5-up.
Respectable. And toughness 6.
And toughness 6. He's very, very tough. For output, 4 attacks at weapon skill 9 using the Axe of Dargo, which is strength +2, which makes his bad boy strength 6. In the right army, he'd be strength 7 on the charge. AP,
correct.
AP 3, which is amazing. Magical attacks and Monster Slayer.
Monster Slayer? What?
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. I think that gets us...
Monsters. This is the only appearance of Monster Slayer in the entire dwarf range. No other location can get Monster Slayer other than this Slayer of monsters himself, Ungrim Ironfist of Karak Kadrin.
Yeah, and he's a badass.
He's a G'd up MFer. Also has some really great force multiplying and unit multiplying rules that I think everyone will enjoy quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. First one, the King of the Slayer Hold. Ungrim Ironfist may join a unit of Hammerers or a unit of Slayers, even though he does not have the Loner special rule. A unit of Hammerers joined by Ungrim.
This guy ain't no loner.
Yeah. A unit of Hammerers joined by Ungrim gains the Immune to Psychology and Unbreakable special rule for as long as he remains in the unit. In addition, if Ungrim Ironfist is taken as a general of a Royal Clan army, Demon Slayers and Dragon Slayers may be taken as character choices. Up to 1 unit of Slayers per 1,000 points may be core choices, and up to 4 Doomseekers may be taken as special choices, which I think one of those things is super exciting. But this does mean those 2 characters in combo does mean a double brick of Unbreakable Dwarfs potentially.
I mean, sure. Yes, you could do both of them. If you want to bring Thor, we're talking Ungrim now, Rob. We've moved on from Thorgrim.
I'm just saying.
I can tell you're a Thorgrim stan.
I'm not. I think Ungrim kicks ass.
Also, I got him. It's one of the few things I pre-ordered. Ungrim.
Did you? He sold out, right? Didn't all the dwarfs sell out?
Actually, a lot of the dwarves sold out as the day went on. If you got there first thing, you got what you wanted. But by the time I didn't buy the new King on Shield, the cool plastic kit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what am I doing? I should go buy one of those. And then I doubled back, and it was gone. So I didn't get it. And even the Battle Force, which is great value, it's gone. So yeah, there's the dwarves proving that people are sick little freaks when it comes to dwarfs, and also Old World not dead. It turns out.
Old World. Whoever is making any videos thinking Old World isn't successful, Old World is huge. I think it's the second biggest game Games Workshop makes now. No, third biggest game. Sorry, third biggest game.
Third biggest. Okay.
Sorry, it's 40K, Blood Bowl, and this.
You think you think that Old World's already outperforming AOS?
100%. And I don't know who would be more poised to tell you that information than literally me. In the world.
Not expected. Well, that's stay tuned for an entire show that will be 60,000 views, 100,000 views. All we have to do, Rob, just you say the word. All we have to do, break glass for pandering to all of the rage-baity weirdos out there. Old World is bigger than AOS. 4.0 a failure.
No, I don't think 4.0. Age of Sigmar 4 is a great addition. It's a really good game. It's absolutely excellent, and I really like it. I've been playing loads. I'm playing an event this weekend, and then I'm playing in an Old World event the weekend after. Let's fucking go! Trying to take ogres. But the shout out is that I make this content for a living. The sheer volume. Maybe it'll die off. But I think Old World is absolutely massive worldwide and will continue to be massive worldwide because, as we've said, it's had a sustained fan base and a new fan base thanks to other game systems like Warhammer Fantasy Battles and Ninth Age, but also, most importantly, the Total War series absolutely dragging them through. We shouldn't be putting this in the middle. We'll make this a separate video.
This is a separate video, yeah.
We'll do it different. I apologize. Let's go back to Ungrim, but it's huge. It's a huge game. It's a huge game.
I love it. I was mostly baiting you out there because but again, I do believe that will be our biggest video of all times if we make it. So the King of the Slayer Hold. So the one big thing about this is that this is, of course, the only way to get Slayers is core. This is like a secret extra army of infamy because it can only happen when he's in a royal clan. And so it basically unlocks all the Slayer-related items except the Goblin-Hewer. I wonder if that was on purpose or not. I don't know why they didn't give them Goblin-Hewers in rare, but anyway, it doesn't matter because it's not even black powder. It thematically works too. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And Doomseekers, particularly, very good. And I would even argue in certain scenarios, if you're looking to abuse a certain situation, Demon Slayers and Dragon Slayers, potentially very useful.
All right, perfect. Okay, so that's good. So he's himself great. Immune Psychology, Magic Res 2 for him and his unit. Rallying Cry, great, obviously, for a general, as always. Got Slayer Rule, Unbreakable, all the good stuff that you have here.
Doesn't have to lay down a stone. They're just Unbreakable, Immune to Psych. Hammer's already super sick. Love getting charged. Yeah, this is a horse of a unit. 3 wounds. little disconcerting.
Yeah, that's fair. I think 3 wounds is a rough. That's all I'm gonna say.
He also has Death Blow, which, by the way, we missed. There was an FAQ, which we'll cover another time. But there's an FAQ that clarified that Death Blow it triggers on when they sort of still uses their Slayer rule. So the Slayer rule is wounds everything on a 4, no worse than a 4-up. So Death Blow is when they die, they do 1 strength 3 minus 1 AP attack to something, and still wounds on a 4+. So that was cool. Just wanted to, because we shat all over Slayers, I believe, would be the way we would describe it in the deep dive that you probably just finished.
Yes, exactly. All right, so Ungrim, let's rate him 10 out of 10, and should we move forward?
Yeah. This is stellar. 10 model, 10 rules, it unlocks a unique build for dwarves. He's great. I
quite like this concept, which I'm seeing actually in a couple of other game systems as well, is the concept that you bring the general, or the name general, or even maybe the generic general, and then that diversifies your army roster like a bit. But like, I think that's a really like healthy like kind of way of building stuff, or at least I'm enjoying it. All right, next unit is Doomseekers. Do you want to take us through Doomseekers?
Oh, geez, I can try. All right, so Doomseekers are heavy infantry. They're characters. They're on a 25mm base. Their stat line is as follows: movement 3, weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 0, strength 5, toughness 4, 2 wounds, initiative 3, attacks 2d3, and a moiety, leadership of 10, all for 50 points. And I believe Peter the Falcon counted these up, and I think he said there are 15 special rules included with your Doomseeker at a low price of 50 points. Death Blow, Doomseeker, first the fray, Grombrel weapons, which means they all have -1 AP. Immune to psychology, impact hits, D3+1, good lord. Loner, magic resistance -2, random attacks, resolute, unbreakable, vanguard, whirlwind of death.
That's a lot of stuff.
So what does all of that even mean? So the first one, and this is what I was alluding to before, is Doomseeker. This kind of changes the game, I think, in a seemingly obviously an abusable way for dwarfs. At the end of the battle, a Doomseeker that has been slain is worth no victory points. However, if a Doomseeker is still alive, the enemy player wins a bonus number of victory points equal to 100% of its point cost. So, essentially, these guys work inversely in kill points. So if they live, you get the points, whatever points they cost. If they die, they die. And you don't get the points for them. So, Rob, what totally non-problematic situation does that open up for the Doomseekers?
It means that you can create a points denial list, I think is what you're talking about, if you take enough of them. So your opponent is having to waste resources to kill stuff, and maybe even activations, something we talked about at the beginning of Old World. The ability to create situations where your opponent is just activating. It's kind of what Chaff does, right? I put a unit of, you have a 1,000 point unit, and I put 50 points in front of you, then another 50 points, and you can only charge and engage and fight with those 50 points every time, and therefore you are never returning the value you've invested. I guess you're also never losing the value you invested as well, but in this situation with the Doomseekers, you could do enough damage that they're losing out on that engagement every time.
So, and I think we'll see in a moment that the juice is worth the squeeze here. So, for one thing, their characters, they're allowed weapon runes up to 50 points each. So now, immediately, your Doomseeker can be 100 points. Of course, it's in a royal clan using Ungrim. So now they can have up to 120. They can be up to 125 points. We'll discover in a minute they can take up to 3 Runic Tattoos, which means you can juice each one of these Doomseekers over 200 points if you like. And all they have to do is kill something. And if they get any return on those points and then die in response, suddenly, I mean, because they're in special, you could literally pack your list where up to half of the points are just unattainable. All they have to do is kill something. So anyway, seems problematic. I suspect it will be, but maybe I'm overreacting to this.
I mean,
I think the points denial opportunity is massive.
Well, so why don't we talk about this in context of like, and I hate doing this, but like, in context of like intent to a degree. Like we have talked a lot when we did the dwarf review. I think if they'd have wanted to make like very fighty, killy dwarf units, they could have, right? They could have given an extra attack to certain units.
4 inches of movement.
Yeah, they could have done. There's a bunch of different bits that they could have added, but they didn't. You know, they quite clearly, like, it's not like they don't know how to make killy units or survivable units. We have examples of those in loads of other army rosters. So, you know, they understood at least what, like, the output and the survivability of these things would be like. So when you describe them as an army that just gets hit in the face and survives, which is, you know, again, super thematic, maybe we're just seeing really good rules writing that are representing, like, again, I'm not saying that that's definitely true, but maybe we are, like, you know, these, I would like to think that the rules have actually come through quite nicely, at least in the theme of an army. And I think like the movement 3 thing is actually dumb and negative, but actually maybe they're like,
it's a serious constraint.
Yes, a serious constraint. But maybe they're like, cool, you have a serious constraint. You also have a serious a serious kind of like win path. And that win path is oddly your stuff dying, but doesn't give them points. And
thematically, it's a great thematic rule too. Like you were saying, in support of that, I'm not trying to shit all over it. I'm just cautioning here, and also maybe suggesting that this is a very powerful, if you're just looking to win, potential thing to build off of and really key off of. It's really thematic that like a Slayer that lives through the battle is kind of a failure, right? Like so you want that Slayer to go out and die. We were noticing in the deep dive of the Grand Army and most of the rosters that really things favor defense over offensive output. Where they do have offensive output, it's hard to get them to where they should be. And then even then, it's a little bit, because they're very infantry based, you're not feeling like you're necessarily even going to be swinging back some of the times. They are low initiative, all that stuff. Really, they're about taking the punch, not necessarily giving it. Now you've got a unit here that it complements your tanky units by being all upside as far as running headfirst into the enemy is concerned and doing as much damage or any damage as it can to then conserve its points. Because any points that these guys have suddenly are unscorable once they die. So, you know, if you do this in a way that's probably intended, let's say you make each of your Doomseekers around 100 points. Well, now your opponent, if these Doomseekers go out and do their job and you brought 3 of them, now your opponent's only got 1,700 points they can possibly score off of you, and you're already really tanky. So, I mean, even without abusing it, this gives the dwarfs I think a mathematical edge to complement their tanky disposition, if you know what I mean.
Fuck yeah. I love that. That's great. Like, what? There's no better grudge than I kill you, you get nothing. The final spy. Now, that's a roll. That's a fucking roll. I don't want to do like one single strength 3 hit on a 4-up. I want you to kill my unit and be like, that means nothing to you, son. Yeah, you just wasted your time. He died. He wanted to die. I think that's actually a great rule. I'm actually
joke's on you. He wanted to die.
I'm now on the side of, as long as it does not utterly break the game, which I don't think it will. Yeah, I am now vastly like, this is maybe my favorite rule so far. Like through this conversation.
Okay. Well, it's very powerful, whether or not you like it. And then we're not 15 rules, folks. We're just getting warmed up. Doomseeker, and again, we'll see in Runic Tattoos that you can actually give that to the Slayers of Legends, to the character Slayers. So you could do the same sort of points now from the character bucket as well. Anyway, first to the fray. This model increases its maximum possible charge range by 3. And when it makes a charge roll, apply plus D3 modifier to the result. It's like, what's like sort of swift stride. It's short stride. Short stride.
Yeah. Fast over short distances. That's what it is.
Sprint stride. And then we got Whirlwind of Death. Could you scroll down a wee bit?
Sure. There you go. Impact hits caused by this model are resolved using the profile of its its whirling blades of death. In addition, when this model makes a roll to wound, a roll of 4+ or success, regardless of the target's toughness.
So what's that saying? That's saying that any of its runic items, any of its tattoos that affect its hand weapons, because again, he only comes with a hand weapon with ground roll weapon stock, are affected on its impact hits, which means we're up to D3 plus 1 impact hits, plus 2 D3 hits, plus whatever we can stack and layer on there with tattoos and runes. This guy is indeed a whirlwind of death. What do you think, Robert?
I like him. I think I can understand the 50-point tag is nice and cheap. You can take a load of them. I love that. I like every element of this. I think this is really good because I was incredibly underwhelmed by Slayers in the last book. In the main book. So this opens up Slayers, and it doesn't open up armies of Slayers. I always felt like units of Slayers felt very odd because that's almost like intransient with their the way that they're written. So individual monster units. Feed it to me.
Yeah. And I mean, you're also just going to be getting weight of dice. So like, I think that's a really interesting thing for these guys. They're going to just delete fighting ranks. They're going to do a lot of work. And they do give Slayers a bit of a purpose in the sense that they can now be Doomseeker delivery units because these guys will be very vulnerable out on the table, obviously running around. They are characters, so they do get the defense from being close to a unit, but there are certainly some flaming hot vortexes out there that might give them a pause and kill them very quickly.
I'd also say that there's some great models available. Not to be like there's some great models in the Age of Sigmar range, but there's some absolutely 11 out of 10 models that you can use if you would like to get even a box of infantry will do as Slayers for these guys from the Age of Sigmar range. So you could get some cool models.
I was so disappointed by Fire Slayers. Immediately, I went looking because I wanted to build some cool, like in my head, I'm like, okay, if I want to do a royal clan from Karak Kadrin with my Ungrim, maybe I want to give them some cool hammerers. And I went and looked at the Slayers, and I don't know, those models. I was disappointed. I was hoping there'd be some guys with axes, some guys with like lots of options, but there weren't a ton of the little fire dwarfs.
Can I interest you in the Flame Seekers? That's a great little kit. Kit. There's some fun stuff in there. In my opinion, you've got little baby magma droths and some other stuff. But anyway, that's just an amazing kit. The Flame Seekers, Flame Seekers, Flame Keepers, whatever. Then there's this final the Vulcan Flame Seekers. That's it. So the other rule, Dogs of War, 0 to 3 Doomseekers may be taken as mercenaries in the following grand armies: Dwarven Mountain Holds, whatever, or the Empire's a Man. Let's go. A couple of little allied in fellas. I still love just how interconnected the armies are in the old world. I keep going back to this, but I think the old world as a setting, and then also the integration, as we're seeing in these books starting to connect the dots between the different armies. Probably it's not strong, but I'm not just here for it being strong. I like the lore. I like the setting. And I think the fact that I could put up to 3 Doomseekers in my Empire army, very cute. Even if it's not strong. Even if.
I would say because they're allowed to, still take all their runes and their tattoos. Suddenly, Empire has pretty solid damage output. And again, access to... There's 2 armies right now that have access to points denial in this way, and it's Empire and it's Dwarfs. So I think this does unlock some really interesting ideas for Empire with the Doomseekers. It's strange, but nonetheless, I think you'll definitely see them as a decent option to consider for Empire.
Right, so we're talking tattoos because you're able to upgrade Doomseekers, Demon Slayers, and Dragon Slayers with these tattoos. Which is super fun. But a Doomseeker can take up to 3 Runic Tattoos, Demon Slayers up to 2, and Dragon Slayers up to 1. If you are like, hey, Rob, you haven't mentioned Demon Slayers or Dragon Slayers yet, they're, again, in those army composition books I talked about earlier, which you go... So basically, if you would like to play the Dwarfs, you need 2 books to play.
They're Forces of Fantasy in the Grand Army list. They're the Slayers of Legend. And they are also unlocked by Ungrim. And again, with Rune of Dishonored for 50 points, suddenly you can give them that fun points denial Slayer rule.
Yeah, very, very fun. So the first one, let's do these in combo, shall we? The Rune of the Dishonored is 50 points. Demon Slayers and Dragon Slayers only. one model with this Runic Tattoo is reduced to their last wound. Once is reduced. They gain a 3+ ward save against any further wounds suffered. However, at the end of the battle, a model with this Runic Tattoo that's been slain is worth no victory points. If it's still alive, the enemy player wins a bonus number of victory points equal to 100% of its cost. So you could put this on not the Doomseekers who already have this. You could have it on the Demon Slayers or the Dragon Slayers in a Grand Army composition, and then just do even more points to now, like Val was talking about.
Correct, and it's again not a master rune, so like it can be repeated as long as the combinations with it are different. So yeah, you can again really, if you really want to lean into that, basically I think you can get it quite easily to a place where you have only 500 scoreable points on the table.
That's cool.
Well, 810 because you'd need Ungrim. So yeah, you do Ungrim plus your core. And then everything else would be unscorable, assuming they all die.
Yeah, and have 0 fucking armor. You'd be literally naked. You'd be like,
it's literally like you have to try not to kill a Slayer, like a Slayer that. So yeah,
I like how you can put one flame vortex down, go through like 9 Slayers, kill them all, and they'll be like, haha, that's not any points. I'm like, I know, but like you don't. I just killed 9 guys, right? Like I don't kill. Anyway,
yeah.
Next up, Rune of Endless Battle is 40 points during the combat phase of any turn in which a model with this Runic Tattoo in charge. Every attack it makes that causes an unsaved wound roll allows it to immediately make 1 additional attack. This is actually really funny. It's a lot of attacks potentially.
Yep, and we're already talking about something with 2d3 attacks base, and there are ways to juice that up even more. Like you can give these guys just a tremendous amount of output.
Yeah, very fun. I like that. I'll probably see the Rune of Endless Battle a lot. Rune of the Reckless. Oh, sorry. I am not sharing. I apologize. After you.
Oh, no, it's fine. The Rune of the Reckless gains Frenzy and a +1 modifier to their rolls to hit, which is nuts. However, enemy models that target this model during the combat phase also have a +1 modifier for their rolls to hit. That's fine. They're all going to be dead. Yes. No one is swinging back on someone with Rune of Endless Battle and Rune of the Reckless.
And then you got Rune of the Hateful, which is 30 points. The model with this rune gains their hatred all enemies special rule. Love that. Love that.
Yep.
Love that.
Rerolls in the first round are pretty good. Rune of Wrath, unless there's more above this one. A model with the lots more. Rune of Grit, 25 points. A model with this Runic Tattoo has a +1 modifier to its toughness. We don't want that.
No, don't want that.
It's harder to kill them. Don't want that.
You want them to die. 15 points for the Rune of Dauntless, A model of this Runic Tattoo must always issue and accept challenges if possible. During a challenge, this model re-roll any failed to hit rolls. That's quite fun. I like the Rune of Endless Battle. Can you take that Rune of Endless Battle and the Rune of the Dauntless and just be like throwing it into characters and then be like, I don't want to fight this. Stop it. You're like, well, you got to.
You got no choice. Sorry. Rune of Wrath. A model with this Runic Tattoo has a +1 modifier to its attacks characteristic. So you could do Rune of Endless Battle and slap. Can you duplicate them? I'm pretty sure these cannot be duplicated on the same model. My mistake. But you can do regular runes to add attacks. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's great. A Rune of Endless Battle, Rune of Wrath. That makes sense. Warrior's Rune. Model of this tattoo has +1 modifier to its weapon skill. Boo. And then the Rune of Blazing Fury, 5 points. The model of this Rune tattoo has flaming attack special rule. Also fine. Just combo that with the ones that you want.
Yep, exactly. Those last 3, I think it's probably like Rune of Endless Battle, and pick your poison. A couple others. It's very good. They're very good. They're going to very easily be up over 100 points. Once you have them kitted out with runes, and then you can look at weapon and talismanic runes for them as well if you want.
Definitely. Right, so we're going to be moving on. So let's start looking at the next army that you can build, right? We've already got Points Denial Slayers and Ungrim kicking ass, and I'm just stood there with 1,000 point unit that's unbreakable. But you can also run Dwarfen Mounted Holds Expeditionary Force. And if anything, this is even more fun than the last one. So army composition list, 1 engineer or engineer sapper has to have 1 in your characters. And then up to 1 demon slayer or dragon slayer. And you can have thanes and runesmiths. Core, Dwarf Warriors, Thunderers, and Dwarf Carts, up to 25%. And then you can have up to 1 Ranger unit, they're back, and up to 1 unit of Scout Gyrocopters may be taken. per 1,000 points. So you can have and Scout Gyrocopters are 1 to 2 models. So you can have 4 Scout Gyrocopters in 2 units out your core points. It's pretty spicy.
I love it. I rather like the Scout Gyrocopters. I mean, you want your gyros. Realistically, anyway, we'll review them when we get there. But yeah, I mean, this is, by the way, this is the one people are betting on as the good detachment. It certainly seems like a lot of fun. I love the flavors of both of these lists, by the way. I don't think we actually gave that any lip service. I think once again, they've provided through the Arcane Journal and 2 armies of infamy that just, I don't know, immediately make you start thinking like, oh, that'd be so cool. So anyway,
that's what we want from the old world, right? That's what we want. And also, I think they obviously do great with orcs and goblins, we said about. I'd say dwarves is a harder one to do. They could have very easily just given us the engineering guild where all of the guns are much better, as in the artillery. But instead, they gave us dwarfs do dwarfy stuff better. And I think that's actually really good. Okay, core, Dwarf Warriors, Thunderers, Dwarf Carts, we talked about that already. Special, up to 50% of your army points may be spent on miners, Scout, Gyrocopters, and Gyrocopters. Up to 3 war machines can be chosen, Bolt Thrower, Gun Thrower, and Cannon. And then for rare, up to 33%, and maybe spent on Gyro Bombers, 1 unit of Slayers, 2 war machines from Auger Gun and Flame Cannon, which, perfect. And then Mercenaries, Imperial Dwarf Mercenaries, up to 2 Doomseekers per 1,000 points, and up to 1 Goblin-Hewer. And then again, this is a Thane or Engineer can be your battle standard bearer here, so you can get a bit spicy in that regard. Any thoughts on the overall composition?
This one, I mean, just has 2 of the absolute golden nuggets of dwarfs in core. Gyrocopters and Rangers, they're already there. Dwarf Carts out of your core allotment. Like this, I mean, you're just starting from a really good position with this when it comes to efficiency. One thing not involved in this list, though, is no Iron Drakes. So they don't allow gunpowder in the Royal Clans, but they did call shotgun on magical flamethrowers, runic flamethrowers. So that's kind of a bit of a detraction, but maybe we make up for that with badass rules and shit.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so if we go and look at the special rules for these guys, for the army composition you have here, you've got a couple. You've got Expeditionary Marksman, where a unit of Thunderers per 1,000 points, so 1 unit per 1,000 points, may be upgraded to Expeditionary Markers for 1 point per model, where they do not suffer any negative to hit modifiers for moving and shooting. In addition, any Dwarf Engineer may be upgraded to an Expeditionary Marksman for plus 10 points.
Seems good.
Yeah. Seems good, especially as there's a character where we can get, like we'll talk about in a bit, where we can also get another way of removing one of our other minuses to hit. So we could get a pretty good, but I'm not sure how I feel about Thunderers generally. I think it's too short range.
Well, now maybe a little less short range if you can actually move them without giving up basically an entire turn of shooting.
That's true.
So like they're, suddenly the Thunderers become a bit interesting. And as you mentioned, there's a couple interesting dude bros that can help out with them as well. Function over form. When writing your muster list, you may reduce the toughness characteristics of any of the following war machines by 1 to a minimum of 1. Okay. Cannon, organ guns, flame cannon. I'm pretty sure the cannon and organ guns are some of the rare toughness 7 war machines that remain. That means they're dropping down to toughness 6, which is not too bad. Could we scroll down just a wee bit? A lot.
Any war machine that has its toughness reduced in this way also loses the move or shoot special rule.
What? So, therefore, we got ourselves some mobile cannons. Could be cute to use with flame cannons that have pathetic short range. Sorry. Yep.
So, war machines moving around. Flame cannon, like you said, makes them... I don't want to be this guy, but a moving flame cannon sounds suspiciously like... a good old train-based war machine, which I feel is infringing on the best dwarfs territory.
Well, the chaotic dwarfs. I think most likely, like this would be a kind of a cute way of getting getting better angles for your cannons, and also, I mean, as I played the Empire a little bit there, and ran a lot of war machines. and it came up a lot where it was very, very useful to be able to move them, especially in response to things coming at me or whatever. Also with cannon specifically, opens up the ability to make better use of grape shot if that's a better thing to use. So yeah, lots of things that it's basically something I read past and then I've heard others speak to it, and I feel like could be useful.
Can't I also on if I'm against another gun line, can't I hide my cannon behind a hill, then move on to not be shot, then move on the hill and start shooting? Which feels very strategic, or pop it from behind a forest. Can't see it, then it pops behind. It gives me, if nothing else, over the rest of the game, the first turn utility there feels very strong, in my 100%, opinion.
Yeah, no, those are definitely very good uses of it as well. Yep.
Okay. Then the next ability, which I think is the one that's got everyone's heart aflutter, is the Subterranean Ambush. If your army includes a unit of miners, that is the ones who dig and were unfairly treated by Margaret Thatcher in the 80s, not young people, after both sides have been deployed, but before the first turn of the game begins, you deploy 2 32mm round mine markers, plus 1 additional marker for each additional unit of miners your army includes. These markers can be deployed anywhere on the battlefield that is not within the enemy player's deployment zone, 12 inches of another friendly mine marker, 6 inches of an enemy unit, and 3 inches of a special feature objective marker. And we'll just take a moment to quick sidebar for everybody. Or in fact, actually, we'll come back to the objective marker part. We'll do that. We'll come back to it. When a unit of miners would arrive onto the battlefield as reserves, it can be placed anywhere on the battlefield within 6 inches of a mine marker, but not within 6 inches of an enemy unit. The unit cannot charge during this turn and counts as having moved for the purpose of shooting, but can otherwise act as normal. So, how do you feel about this?
I think it's so much fun. I think it's super cool. I love the idea of them just popping up like little dirty moles behind enemy lines.
Would you say Skaven?
Skaven-esque. Little gnaw holes. But yeah, I think it's really cool. Miners are awesome. By the way, miners, I'm pretty sure, come with a pony cart on their kit.
Yeah, they do.
I might be wrong.
You can also take the mining drill to make more reliable ambushes happen.
That's correct. They can reroll their ambushes. I in the current game state where we're all kill points, I don't know how super useful it is. It's cool. It's really, really cool. But I don't know. Also, just reading that closely, if you're coming up against someone who's scouting, so i.e. has units they can deploy in the middle field, going to be hard to place these markers. I know, and I'm speaking that specifically from the experience of having my Empire archers. I mean, I could zone you almost entirely out with those guys based on these restrictions. So there's that, but I don't want to sound like I'm not enthused. This is cool as hell. It's evocative. It gives miners who have great weapons and a steam drill, something really cool to be able to do. It gives the ability for dwarfs to get rear charges off, attack the back of a formation with great weapons, and blasting charges. It seems super good.
I would say also, you don't have to bring units within. I don't think so. You don't need to bring the units next to the mine markers. You can still bring them in normal ambush mode.
You sure could.
The mine markers are just creating, some additional kind of thoughts for your opponent, especially if those ambush units come on later in the turn. If they've decided they want to commit and run over to you, I think that's pretty spicy as well. I do have an additional thought about this as well, and that is...
Dig it all! I should have known.
Yeah, I should have known what you were going to say.
I think just raising the potential there for counterplay. That's all I was saying. I think dwarf players will immediately get, I think, quite horny about the concept of being able to spring forth from behind the enemy. Whereas, it's very possible that they will be stuck ambushing in a regular ass way.
I agree. I think all of this is interesting. I really do. That does mean, though, we should move on to a couple of other units because...
Moving on?
Probably we should talk about Burlok Damminson.
Yep.
So Burlok here. So he's an engineer. because you can have. He is a great engineer. So do you want to take me through Burlok?
I could try.
Okay.
First things first. 85 points for everything we're about to mention. He's got a page of rules. Seems good. He's weapon skill BS 5, weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 5, strength 4, toughness 4, 2 wounds, initiative 2, 3 attacks, leadership 10. I didn't even notice that. Leadership 10. So it's a cheap general. That's pretty cool. And then he's got a couple of fun rules. One, he's equipped with a furnace hammer, rivet gun, and heavy armor. He's got dwarf crafted, Bramroll armor, hatred, orcs and goblins, magic resistance 1, prepared positions, range finding optics, resolute, stand back chief, and stubborn. So let's find out about prepared positions. During deployment, you may entrench a single non-character model whose troop type is War Machine and a single unit of Quarrelers or Thunderers. An entrenched unit is considered to be behind partial cover and to be defending a low linear obstacle. Should an entrenched unit move away for any reason, it is no longer entrenched. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, you're more of a fan of low linear obstacles than me. Which is funny because we do often ring each other late at night. I'm like, hey, bud, what kind of terrain do you like? And you're like, well, I'm always a low linear fan, as you know. But yes, that's definitely good, especially against other like small arms fire, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to basically make it so anyone charging them is disordered. Yeah. However, there's still initiative too, so it's not as cool as you might think.
I love the next ability. This is the one for me.
All right, would you like to read it?
Sure. Unless Burlok is fleeing or engaging combat once per turn during the shooting phase, a friendly unit, Quarrelers, Thunderers, or Dwarf War Machine that's within command range can either reroll any rolls to hit of a natural 1, reroll single artillery dice. In addition, so that's just the normal engineering rules.
Yep.
Okay, so boom, that's what an engineer would do. But I like the next bit. In addition, Burlok and any unit he has joined do not suffer the usual -1 to hit modifier when shooting at long range. So now if we have upgraded our unit of Thunderers and then we've plopped this fella in there, then we've now got no -1 to hit for moving and shooting, no -1 to hit for long range. So those Thunderers are faster next to a pony cart, maybe even faster. They're more effective at shooting because they're not great at shooting anyway. And we can, definitely get some. Do I want to spend 85 points? I don't really know. But, in this army, this is in a unit of Thunderers next to a War Machine. So then I've got like a bit of duality choice between like what I want to do. No, in fact, he can definitely do both things at once. He improves the unit of Thunderers. He improves the War Machine with the artillery reroll. I think that's stonky in my opinion.
And we had the FAQ, which we'll double back to another day, that it's confirmed that a large target can be shot at with all ranks. So if you had 2 ranks of Thunderers, they're all going to be able to blast at your big dragons and monsters, and you're going to be hopefully chipping some damage there because it will be, if you get that 6 to wound, it's going to be AP 3.
Yeah, it's really good.
Not bad.
Can you not put a Runesmith in as well? And does that only improve combat? Does only give armor bane for combat?
No, it would just be armor bane too. So yeah, I mean, if you really want to do it, but I'm saying the handgun itself that a Thunderer has, I believe is it armor bane 1?
I think so.
Armor bane 2. So it's -1 AP to standard, and I think armor bane 1. So it would be -2, which ain't bad for chip damage. And you're not suffering long range shooting penalties. Sounds pretty good to me.
And if you've upgraded them for a point, you're not suffering any penalties for moving and shooting them as well. So correct. Like you really, really like not suffering a lot there. I feel that's good. Then he's got the stand back chief ability. Character special rule can't be targeted by enemies while they're within 3 inches of friendly units. Troop types War Machine, which is good and fine. And then in combat, he's got his own combat weapon and he's got his own gun. Neither of which I think are a big deal. That's fine. He's 85 points. He's got everything you need.
Well, I think if the to-hit roll is success, so basically his gun, the rivet gun, it's just very short range. That's the problem with it. It's 10-inch range, strength 3, AP -2, armor bane 1, but it has basically, if it hits, it does D3 hits instead. It's just a little bit too bad. The furnace hammer, kind of hilarious, uses the artillery dice as its strength profile, so it can be up to strength 10, which is pretty cool. It can also misfire and take a wound from one of his 2 wounds. So
we don't love that.
Great. Don't love it at all. But I guess could he re-roll his own artillery dice? No, he cannot.
Yeah, just please don't get him in that combat. Just leave him alone.
Yeah,
just
let's avoid the combat. Let's just not do that. Yeah.
So the non-named engineers in this book, Dwarf Engineer Sappers, are 70 points, and they have the dig-in. The reason you're bringing them is not because of their shooting potential, is that you can upgrade them to being a marksman if you want to. So that does make them, I think that makes them ballistic skill 6.
The marksman special rule?
Yeah, so the marksman special rule in Expeditionary Marksman, you can spend additional 10 points to turn a dwarf engineer into an expeditionary marksman. Oh no, this isn't a sapper. I apologize. Just a normal dwarf engineer. You can upgrade for 10 points. But either way,
okay.
Ballistic skill 6, brace of pistols or a pistol, or can have a handgun if you want. But the 2 special rules, dig in and hostile terrain. Dig in during combat subphase, not engaged in combat. This character may attempt to lead their unit in the digging of some field works, make a leadership test, and if this test is passed, this character and the unit that they have joined become entrenched. An entrenched unit is considered to be behind partial cover and defending a low linear object. Should that unit, for any reason, it's no longer entrenched. Now, stop me if I'm wrong, but that would make some dwarf units really excellent. Making units do disordered charges into dwarven units feels like a really great upgrade.
Yes, if you're able to also get them some sort of an initiative boost or some sort of benefit for being charged, there are some runic items that might do that for you. Again, overall, you got some low initiative. So if you're comboing him with maybe some characters. Maybe there's some characters in there that got high initiative that would actually benefit by being able to swing earlier. That would be good. The other one that I think is really interesting is hostile terrain, which is any enemy model that ends its movement within the command range of one or more characters with this special rule that are not fully engaged in combat must take a dangerous terrain test.
That is crazy good.
That feels good.
That's crazy good. I feel like you just put this in. I feel like you put him in a unit of hammers, right? Okay, and then you just be like, cool, you move into range, dangerous terrain test for all. Charge us, we've got all the buffs that hammers normally have as well. Yeah, you're also making a disorder charge. By the way, Ungrim's in here. Fuck you. Yeah.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Fuck you. That's actually really impressive as a technical loadout for the army, and I think this will do more damage than people realize. And for anyone who's played at my events or has played online, where all of the forests are dangerous,
super fucking annoying.
Super fucking annoying. Like, I wouldn't want to put 6 Chaos Chosen Knights in front of this unit. I don't want to move in front of it. Right?
Yeah. It's yeah.
And he's got a command range of 9 inches, right?
It's not a small area of effect. It's rather large.
So that's the best way to think about it if you have played Old Worlds yet. Just imagine a couple of units of these. So 2 of these just having an 18-inch. Well, I mean, it's side to side, right? So it'd be 18 inches, 18 inches. So 2 of these could just have 36 board wide. The entire board is dangerous terrain.
Yeah, that's 20% of your models are taking a wound in that bubble every time they start or end their move in it. That sucks.
That sucks.
Well,
wait, what does this do to fanatics? Do they take a dangerous terrain test?
Yes. But they're not in dangerous terrain because they must take a dangerous terrain test. So they don't automatically die, but I guess they could die.
So it feels like that's an upgrade. This feels stunning as a rule set. I'm just going to say it.
Feels good. Feels good. I'm tripping out right now because I can't, like the special rules, they may upgrade to a marksman, right?
Yeah.
But it's the engineer. I just don't know what a marksman is. That's been haunting me.
It says Dwarf Engineer Marksman. Isn't that +1 to its weapon skill?
I'm not sure. Okay. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I'll delve deeper.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the engineer's weapons runes. Okay. So these can only be inscribed on a crossbow or handgun, and these runes follow the normal rules for weapon runes as described in the Forces of Fantasy. So that's what we'll be looking at now.
I do want to point something out. that is funny, but clearly a typo, is actually as written, the Sapper does not have the rule that we just discussed in his special rules.
What?
Yeah. So obviously it was just an error. But as a result, yeah, that's just kind of funny. So you might get people. Actually, hostile terrain is not included in their special rules.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
You might get actually. Obviously, that's annoying and stupid. Any square-based event, obviously, the Sapper gets hostile terrain because clearly that's what was supposed to happen.
I legit, like, that's my inspiration now. I thought I was inspired by Slayers, but I'm inspired by Sappers now. Like, the sheer toxic nature of, like, you're just going to move forward and die. So
can we look at the wording? Is it cumulative? Can we look at the wording there?
Oh, no. Any enemy model that ends its movement within command range of one or more characters.
One or more. Okay, one or more. Okay, good. They caught that. Good.
That ends its movement. Its movement. That is not fleeing or engaged in combat. Okay.
Also ends its movement, so that's nice. So it's not like dangerous terrain in the sense that starts or ends. It's just ends its movement. So that's okay. Cool.
Okay,
it's not as evil as it could have been.
But hear me out. One dwarf sapper, move into the middle of the board with like some dudes, yeah, whatever, and then you're like dangerous terrain. Like then you just kill that guy, and then you keep going. Like imagine just like 100-point speed bumps, which just keep making you take dangerous terrain before you eventually get to the army.
Right? Yeah.
That's pretty interesting, right?
Just sapping your strength, if you will.
Yeah, and then you get gunned down at the same time. That's actually legit. I love that. All right, engineering runes. So like we say, only be taken on crossbow or handgun. First one, Master Rune of Slaying's 50 points, making a roll to wound against an enemy whose troop type is Behemoth. Behemoth. With a weapon that is described with this rune, roll 3+, is always a success regardless of the target's toughness, which is pretty good. And in addition, a weapon described with special rune gains multiple wounds D3. Woo.
Yikes.
Hit well, shoot well, do damage.
Yep.
Pretty spenny. Next one.
Master Rune of Pearson. A weapon inscribed with this rune has a +1 modifier to its strength characteristic, strength 5. In addition, a weapon inscribed with this rune shoots like a bolt thrower using the through and through special rule. So that's pretty fun. But for 40 points, I don't know.
It's too expensive for 40 points, definitely. The Master Rune of Bursting Flame, 35 points. If the roll to hit is successful, a weapon inscribed with the rune causes 2d3 hits on the target enemy unit rather than the usual one to hit.
Seems good.
It does seem good. 2d3. Okay. I like that.
Yeah. So that's giving you a fireball with AP. Basically.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I mean, and it goes off and cannot be dispelled on a, whatever the ballistic skill is. Pretty good.
Good. Okay, then we've got the Rune of Concussive Force. This is my favorite. A unit with an attack made with a weapon inscribed with the rune gains the Stupidity special rule until the start of your next turn sub-phase.
Just straight up gains it. So like a lot of times you see this, it's like, they have to fail a leadership test or something has to happen in order to give them the Stupidity special rule. This one is just, boom, you're stupid. Sorry, pal. That's fantastic. I really like it. Rune of Accuracy. The weapon inscribed with this rune does not suffer any negative to hit modifiers for 20 points. Yikes. That feels good.
That's good. I like that.
Rune of Bursting Flame and Rune of Accuracy is 55 points. That's not bad.
Yeah. 2d3 hits every time you hit feels good. Dangerous terrain tests. Just have the worst time. Just have the worst time.
This is a bad time.
Bad time. Rune of Rapid Fire, 15 points. A weapon described with this rune gains a multiple shots 2 and quick shot special rule. That's fine.
That's very good. Again, probably very good with Master of Bursting Flame. Rune of Molten Steel. A weapon inscribed with this rune gains flaming attack special rule.
Yeah, that's good. And then Enchanted Rune, weapon described with this gains magical attack special rule, which is fine. But yeah, that's fine. I like all of these. I think, everything below the Rune of Piercing. I absolutely adore the Rune of Concussive Force. Love the idea of making something stupid. It's just super fun. But yeah, those are the engineering runes, which I think you'll be able to do some very fun combos with. And then, as called out in the army composition, one of the big things for the Expeditionary Force is the Scout Gyrocopter. And the Scout Gyrocopter is 60 points and is just very similar to a regular Gyrocopter. You can have a unit size of 1 to 2, toughness 4, 3 wounds, count as heavy armor. So, that's not too easy to get rid of. It's not too many points. It's 60 points. It's very cheap. So just think about it like that. Whilst in skirmish formation, every model in the Scout Gyrocopters must be within 3 inches thanks to extended formation. But it's got hit and run, and I love this rule, and I'm also scared of this rule. Should it win a round of combat, a unit with the special rule may choose to fall back in good order rather than making a follow-up or pursuit move. And I am scared of this rule. I'm not scared of this rule on Scout Gyrocopters, but I'm scared that this is going to be rules we see later for other Elven units, and I don't want that. Do you know what I mean?
So far, I think we've only seen it so far on Kriknik, the really fun Orc and Goblin character. I think he's the only guy I've seen hit and run on so far. I might be wrong. You got to win the combat to flee from it. But yeah, this is just basically, it's a gyrocopter that you can take in core in this particular army. You do significantly lose a wound and a point of toughness. The clatter gun is a 10-point upgrade, so that's cool. So you're getting that for you're getting that free. Kind of for free. And because you're lighter, now you're also getting I think they're fly 10 instead of fly 9 or fly 8. So there's some pros and cons to it, but again, it's core. So who cares? It's great. Yeah, I think you're gonna take 2 to 4 of these. Yeah,
Vanguard's built in.
All the other things you love about a gyrocopter, just a little leaner and meaner. You're going to see 2 to 4 of these, I think, in every one of these expeditionary forces for sure.
100%. Especially like if you think about what this army could look like. This army could look like a bunch of tokens on the ground with 2 vanguarded up gyrocopters, and then a couple of engineers that you're taking dangerous terrain tests from while you don't know where the miners are emerging from. And all of a sudden, you are upset with moving across the board. In multiple different ways. I think that's very fun. That's very engaging.
And let's imagine the hellish dystopian picture I painted of an army you can only score 1,300 points against. Sorry, you can only score 800 points against. Instead, now we have an army that's going to be playing you all over the table with the coolest friggin' minis, with dwarf shooting, with sappers and engineers and all kinds of fun stuff. Again, it's going to probably take a pretty clever person to play this effectively.
I agree.
Because it's still going to be vulnerable to things like very durable characters.
Trauma, blunt trauma dragons.
Yes. So like there's all kinds of things that it will struggle with, but doesn't mean that it doesn't necessarily have the tools to struggle potentially well against. So yeah, I think Expeditionary Force is pretty cool.
Now, I think one of the problems so Val didn't want to talk about this, and I understand why. As a big Orc and Goblin fan, he didn't want to talk about the Goblin-Hewer. I understand. I feel like some of the we have got the Troll Hammer Torpedo, don't we? So we have had like racially insensitive weapons previously, but the fact that this is just called the Goblin-Hewers is outrageous. So a war machine that is 120 points and can have up to 50 points of up to engineering runes up to 50 points. Yeah, thank you, Liam, in the chat pointing out that elves do have the cloak of the beard. That's true. Yeah, but there has been some other items. And then the important part is the weapon profile for this thing, right? 36-inch range, strength 4, AP 1, armor bane 1, cumbersome, move or shoot. But do you want to take us through the Goblin-Hewer special rule?
Sure. With a single salvo of spinning axes, a Goblin-Hewer can cut through several ranks of troops. When shooting a Goblin-Hewer, roll an artillery dice before making any rolls to hit. The number of shots fired is equal to the roll of the artillery dice plus D3 per rank, including the rear rank, even if it's incomplete, if the Goblin-Hewer lies in the unit's front or rear arc, or per file, if the Goblin-Hewer lies in the unit's flank arc. However, if a misfire is rolled in the artillery dice, no shots are fired, and a critical fault has occurred. Roll immediately on the appropriate misfire table to determine exactly what.
Which is the stone thrower misfire table. So it's like not too bad. But so you can just do an incredible amount of shots with this. But the problem, I think, is being brought up is the fact that it's ballistic skill 3.
Yeah, it suffers the same problem as an organ gun. Really, I don't see how this is better than an organ gun. Organ gun's going to get 2 rolls on those artillery dice. It's going to benefit from an engineer reroll. Although this can take engineering runes, which is different than an organ gun, so that's interesting. We don't see a ton of ranks, but really it's artillery dice plus D3 because you're always going to have 1 rank, right? So yeah, I mean, it's not awful. It is hard to access. And so it's going to be, for most armies, fall under the mercenary allotment. And then if you bring a Slayer of Legend is how you would actually be able to bring it as a choice from your army. So you would need to bring a Demon Slayer or a Dragon Slayer. And you'd be able to bring up to 2 of these in a 2,000 point list.
I think the thing about this is, like, it's just a massive weight of dice roll, right? Like, and I get it. One of the things about this is you know, compared to something that's going to do a lot of shots but maybe hit badly, like crossbows or, you know, handguns, you can draw a much easier singular line of sight. Like, it takes up a much smaller portion of your board, but you've got like more, like, you don't have to get like line on each model in that, like, you know, could be quite a long front line of Quarrelers or Thunderers, but instead you can just be like, cool, singular little line, single point, bang, I pick that little unit out. That's like, I think it's, you know, hitting on 5s will be underwhelming. I grant you that. But I still think it's maybe something to try out. I don't think it does tons, though. I think that's the problem. And its strength is that it's hitting a lot of models. That's its strength. Its strength is that it hits a lot of models, and its weakness is that it doesn't actually kill a lot of models. You know, like, you're like, this is designed to kill hordes. You're like, does it? You're like, no, it doesn't.
I mean, it doesn't hit a lot of models. It shoots at a lot of models.
Yes.
So like that's I think it's, you know, I think it's the same problem with the organ gun. Is like the absolute most amount of shots you get is 20. That's if you roll 2 10s, obviously. Here, yeah, you're maybe, you know, if you're facing someone with an insane amount of depth, yes, you would get a lot of shots. But again, depth is not a big deal in Old World right now. It's not. I mean, you just don't see those big ranked up units. So yeah, not a lot of shots. Probably going to be hitting on 5s at best most of the time. It's probably, you know, it's not bad. It's fun. It looks cool, but it's not like a gotta add this to my army immediately type thing. That's all.
Yeah, I think I super agree with that. Especially when just an engineer stood in his pants is killing more stuff as they keep moving through his range. That's pretty funny. Yeah, but
or like an engineer with those with some of those with some of those you know, weapon runes that we just went over. You know, just is probably going to get higher quality shots off more consistently. You know, you're better off investing in a character using the same rules from this book than a Goblin-Hewer. Again, unless you're really excited about it. Is it going to make you back 120 points every game? Probably not. Probably not.
I agree. And that is it. That's it for this book.
Did we do it?
We've done it. That's everything in this book. There is the ability to take dwarf mercenaries, but we don't need to cover that because that's just used in other books, which I don't think is something that's quite important for how this book works. So yeah, what do you think? Give me like give me your hot takes. Hit me with your this is now, we've done, I think, a really constructive review. We've discussed stuff. We haven't said stuff is necessarily rubbish. We've been like, oh, you know, maybe strengths and weaknesses. Give me a couple of hot takes that are hot off your head. And similarly, people who are watching at home, give me your hot takes. Tell me what you think on everything that you've seen here. How you feel?
Well, I think the Royal Clan fully enables me to make some interesting choices and potentially run Double Doom, or run just a really annoying points denial army. No idea if that's good. Royal Clan I think so far has gotten the least love. But I, for one, think it's like from a tournament perspective, strikes me as the one that could be the most difficult to deal with until maybe it gets some tweaks. The most fun is that Expeditionary force, no doubt. I mean, you got Rangers and Core, you got Gyrocopters and Core, you got these really cool engineers. Another thing that sold out over the weekend was the 4-pack of engineers. They're really neat models. There's great ones third party available. I mean, it's a really fun thing. And again, what have we wanted from these Arcane journals? We have these grand armies that allow you to take sort of, a wide assortment of things. And then so far, these Arcane journals have really delivered cool ways to theme up and play your army differently. I think these two ones maybe don't give you necessarily that massive, very different play experience, especially the Royal Host. Royal Host feels like Dwarfs, except more so. Expeditionary Force, though, I think probably does achieve a very different play style than what you'd see with traditional Dwarf army. And I'm sure people will be pleased about that.
Yeah, I think one of the things about the Orcs and Goblins book, or like the Arcane Journal, is that they basically have a couple of armies in there. Orcs and Orcs and the Goblins, and then even Trolls are so vastly different as kind of like playstyles. Like Trolls are effectively just ogres, right? So it's like you supplanted like a whole another playstyle into that book. So of course they felt very wide when they did those Arcane Journals, but I think this, straight off the top of my head, some hot takes. Number one, it didn't just make guns better and do a gun build. 11 out of 10. Could have done it. It was right there. It was incredibly available. Excellent work. Number two, love the points denier build as a concept. I think that's great. It's incredibly thematic, and that works really nicely. I agree with you about the dwarfs just got a bit more dwarfy in the other build. That's fun. And I think they could have gone even further. I really think they could have gone even further. But I like the idea that there's a new unit to maybe kit bash. That could be really fun as well. And then I like all the new units, and I like what the engineers do, especially like the dangerous terrain thing. I think that plays even more into the dwarf play style. It feels like you're assaulting a castle. I actually think it's really clever. This is the second Arcane Journal that we've done a deep dive on. We should go back and do Bretonnia, obviously, and do Tomb Kings. But what this has done, has made me really impressed with the rules writers. Very impressed. Yeah. These aren't just these aren't just like, hey, you can just get +1 to charge. This is elegant. This is an elegant concept. It really does feel like, with the Sappers, for example, I might be assaulting a dwarf castle. And I know I know we're not really big on him, but assaulting a dwarf castle, and then you get there and it's this unbreakable block if you're playing with Thorgrim. And that's pretty cool. Does it work as a competitive tournament setting? I don't know. But is it making me excited to want to play dwarfs, which is surely the point of what this is? Yes. Yeah. And they've done it. That's two times now. They've smashed it. It's pretty exciting. For old world fans, you've got to be pretty hype and excited about the rules team working on your game, getting it, and delivering something to you. If there'd been a little note wrapped around this, be like, by the way, we get dwarfs. Your job is to stand there and get hit. You're like, because that's what we said last week. That was your kind of TLDR from the book, right?
Yeah, they're definitely a take the punch first army for sure.
Yeah. That's pretty exciting.
And I would also highlight, not only are they doing clever things with like army rules, like what we saw. Again, a lot of them at first blush, kind of meh, but when you start getting into the details, they actually do really change the dynamic of the army. But beyond that, with the actual army composition list, they restrict choices to make them thematic. We saw this in Orcs and Goblins. Neither of those lists can take Fanatics, and Night Goblins, for example, takes away a centerpiece unit. In this one, it makes Black Powder specifically and Gyrocopters inaccessible to the Royal Host. Again, chestnuts of the Grand Army, and in the other one, you no longer get to have Iron Drakes, which have become chestnuts of the main army. So forces your hand out of a comfort zone, and also will hopefully encourage more diversity in unit choices in the meta by actually restricting unit choices. Shocker there. I hope they continue down that road with the more overall army composition rules in the future. I think restricting choices makes for more interesting armies, not the other way around.
Agreed. All right. Well, this has been lovely. I hope you, everyone watching at home, has enjoyed this. Do let us know and the best way you can do that is by liking, subscribing, leaving comments, sharing this with your dwarven friends, or even your non-dwarven friends, because I think this has been a really fun show. I've had a great time. So I want to thank Val for a wonderful time, and I hope everyone's enjoyed it. You enjoyed it?
I had a great time.
Nice. All right.
Lovely time.
Well, let's go. And there's no better way to end the show than...